Most people don't fail because they choose the wrong path. They fail because they never realize they're playing a game they didn't choose. You followed the rules, you showed up, you did what made sense, and still your life feels heavier than it should. Not chaotic, not dramatic, just stuck. There's a quiet frustration most people carry. Not panic, not collapse. A slow realization that effort isn't changing direction. You stay busy, but nothing compounds. You stay responsible, but never fully free. And the question you avoid asking is simple. What if the problem isn't you, but the game you were taught to play? From an early age, you were given a script. Study, work hard, be patient, sacrifice now, reward later. It sounds reasonable, it sounds fair. But that story hides a flaw most people only discover when they're already tired. The world does not reward effort, it rewards structure. And if no one ever taught you how structure works, you can spend your entire life doing the right things in the wrong game. That's why so many capable, intelligent people feel trapped. Not because they're lazy, not because they lack discipline, but because their income, their security, and their freedom depend entirely on their presence. If you stop, everything pauses. If you slow down, pressure builds. So rest feels unsafe, silence feels uncomfortable, and your mind never fully lets go. That isn't ambition, that's fragile freedom. You were told that working harder was the answer, that pushing more would eventually unlock something. But working harder inside a system that doesn't multiply you only leads to exhaustion with a paycheck. Time is the most expensive currency you have, and it's the only one you can't scale. If you only get paid when you're present, you're not building a life, you're renting one. There's another layer to this trap. It's the pressure to look like you're doing well. A life built to impress others will never feel like yours. Because when you're performing, you're not creating. Creation builds something that keeps working after you stop. A skill, a system, an asset. This is the difference between effort and leverage. Most people were never taught this distinction, so they confuse activity with progress. They wake up tired, they stay busy, they repeat the cycle. And they assume this is what adult life feels like. It's not. It's what life feels like when structure is missing. This way of seeing life didn't come from motivation or noise. It came from slowing down and questioning assumptions. Some of these ideas were first put into words by an investor and thinker named Naval Ravikant in a book called The Almanack of Naval Ravikant. Not as instructions, not as promises, but as a reminder that wealth, freedom, and peace are built very differently than we were taught. One of the questions that book leaves you with is uncomfortable in a world addicted to speed. What if the most valuable things in life cannot be rushed? We were taught to want results fast, to measure progress in weeks, to quit if nothing changes quickly. But real value works on a different clock. Skills compound quietly, reputation compounds silently, trust compounds invisibly. And wealth, real wealth, is almost always the result of patience applied in the right direction. Most people quit right before the curve turns, and then they wonder why nothing ever changes. There's one idea from that book that never really leaves you. You don't get rich by working harder. You get rich by building things that work without you. Once you see the game clearly, you stop asking how to work harder. You start asking what you're building and whether you're patient enough to let it grow. Because even freedom won't feel like enough if your mind stays restless. The mind has a habit of turning any life into a negotiation, always wanting more, always comparing, always postponing peace. Happiness isn't something life gives you later. It's something you practice now.
Not by pretending everything is fine, but by removing what constantly pulls you out of the present. Less noise, less urgency that doesn't matter, less desire that keeps renewing itself. Because desire can quietly become a contract you sign with yourself. I'll be at peace when I get this, and that contract never expires. So let's make this practical. Tonight, ask yourself one honest question. If money were no longer the problem, how would you actually spend your time? Not on vacation, on a life. Then take 3 small steps in that direction. Build a skill that compounds. Create something that survives your hours. Move little by little toward ownership. Not perfectly, not overnight, but intentionally. Because that's the difference between surviving and building. You didn't fail, you weren't broken, you were just playing a game you never chose. And the moment you see the game clearly, you get to choose differently. Not with panic, with structure. Not with motivation, with alignment. That's what this space is for. Helping restless minds stop running in place and start building a life that actually feels like theirs. So let me ask you this. What are you building right now that you're willing to be patient with? Write it down. This space exists for people who think deeply but feel stuck. Naval didn't offer shortcuts. He offered clarity, a way to question the game, slow down, and build a life that truly compounds. That's what we share here. Ideas about mindset, prosperity, and personal growth for restless minds ready to choose differently. If something in this video stayed with you, don't rush past it. Sit with it, reflect on it, and if it helps, write down one thing you're willing to be patient with.